mics, just so that you know. If you want to have, if you have any questions at all, just ask it within the chat, and we will answer from the chat. This year, this webinar is a little different in that normally what we'll do is we'll do an actual site inspection of a hotel, but this time we weren't able to. Some of the hotels that we expected to reopen have pushed the date off. So, but we're going to see a beautiful, beautiful property. I have no doubt that you guys will be able to get a good picture of what it's like, and we will have Marie give us a little bit of a description as we go through the webinar. So, you know, I had said to you during my last webinar that Brittany's to me a wonderful place in France, because it's a place that for me I hold near and dear. Every summer for the last 40 years, my sister, her husband, their children would rent a home. They live in Paris. They would rent a home in Brittany and spend the summer there. And I would always make sure to find my way there, pre, post, before, during, after, and spend time with my family. Sadly, last year, my sister passed away. So, you know, we'll see what happens over the years going forward. But I know that my brother-in-law really, really wanted to leave Paris and move to Brittany on a permanent basis. So that may happen. And so I hope that undoubtedly I'll be back. So anyway, that's kind of my own personal connection to Brittany. It's a place that is, as the French would call it, the end of the earth. It is the farthest point west in Europe as a landmass. It's a quirky region of France because it was independent for a long time, not connected to France other than geographically. They spoke their own language, Breton. Still, it's a language that's spoken there. 200,000 inhabitants of Brittany speak the language. It's a region of about just under 5 million people. Was settled about 35,000 years ago, a long time ago. That was our first humans that set foot there. There were people, there were cultures that moved in and out of the region. The Romans were in there in 51 BC. They built roads, they built aqueducts. There's remnants of them still there. By the end of the 4th century, people from Britain were moving south. Celtics, they moved and they made settlements. They emigrated to this region. At the time, it was called Amorica. It was not called Brittany. And then in the 10th century, there were attacks by Vikings, and it was liberated by the British. And then France and Brittany, they governed it as separate countries. And then in 1789, it was absorbed into present-day France. So let's see, anything that else can I tell you about? Well, we're going to visit this beautiful hotel. It's a Relayan chateau called the Chateau Richoux. And it's in the town of Cancale, right on the bay of Mont Michel. So I'm going to pass this over to Johnny. I've probably talked too much already, but he will take over as he always does. As usual. And I just want to say welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome to everybody. Thank you for attending this meeting. And today, as Tom said, we're going to be in Brittany. And I will share, as usual, my screen to show you I hope that everybody can see the screen.
We can.
Okay, very good. And so let's start with the first to point out where Brittany is located in France. And is, as Tom said, is the far western part of France. And the main city you can see on the map. And last time we said that we're gonna have itinerary, and we have two different itinerary. One is on the north part of Brittany, and this is what we will be doing today. And the next one, next meeting, next webinar that we will have, it will be on the southern part of Brittany. So when we end our webinar, you will know perfectly the entire Brittany region of France. And we have a very nice and very experienced instructor today with Marie that will show you a very, very nice feature of this region. And for the people that they like oysters, stay tuned because it's very interesting. So how we can reach Brittany? There are three main point of entry: Rennes, Brest, and Nantes. You can see on the map where are those three cities are located, and really they are not too far away from Paris. There is a TGV that is just 2 hours and a half. There are also private flight. There is also, this is from Charles de Gaulle. Obviously, from Paris, the train station is the TGV train is an hour and a half, and or by car is 4-hour driving. And from the region of the castle of the Loire Valley is about 2 hours, 2 hours and a half to reach the region. This is what we will showing today. And I don't want to keep this portion away from Marie. And now the presentation is on Marie. Marie, you can take over.
And excuse me, I was just going to say one thing. If people could just let us know in the chat if you've been there before and what your thoughts are on it. So that would be greatly appreciated.
Go ahead, Marie.
So Johnny, do you have the next slide?
The next slide?
Yep.
Yes, so just like Gianni said, we have prepared a 7-day itinerary from Paris, going through all the region. And today I'm going to focus on the first 5 days, that are going to be in the northern coast of Brittany. So we are going to review every day the itinerary and have some inspection visits, the oyster parks of Cancale and the charming pink granite coast. Next slide. Oh, that's a short video introducing the region.
Johnny? Thanks.
Okay.
So the arrival place, the point of entry would be Rennes City, which is the capital city where I am based and where I am speaking from now. Next slide, please, Jenny. In the morning, we invite the clients to discover the city during a private guided visit. During the first webinar that we did for Brittany, I took you to a private virtual tour of the city. So feel free to have a look at it if you were not there during that webinar.
Yes, let me say that all our webinars are available on our website under gtexperience.net, and you click on webinar on top of the page and you can see all our webinars, including the one that Marie was talking about. And I'm sorry if there are some interruption during the video, but when somebody comes in, there is an interruption on the video. So sorry about that.
So in Rennes, after the private guided visit, we would suggest your clients to try the iconic galette. It's a gastronomic icon in Brittany, and we would suggest a nice place where they could try this famous galette. In the afternoon, they would reach the northern coastline, and especially Dinard and Saint-Malo area. Dinard is a very nice seaside city. This is a picture of Dinard with its beautiful villas. It's just the opposite side of Saint-Malo. Saint-Malo is located on the left side of that picture. So usually our clients stay in Dinard. Next slide, please. Yes, and it's a nice place where rich families have their private villas, French people like Mr. Pinault, the owner of the Kering Group, but also American citizens because Mr. John Kerry and his family, they have a very nice property in Dinard as well. So in Dinard, we collaborate with Le Castelbrac, which is a 5-star boutique hotel. It also has a 1-star Michelin restaurant. We also did a virtual tour of the hotel during the first Brittany webinar. So you can watch it later on if you want, through the GT website. Another nice hotel where your clients could stay is Maison de Bricourt. So they have different properties. The first one is Château Richeux. It's a 4-star Relais and Château that we are going to see a video about it in a few seconds. Les Fermes du Vent is also a very nice place. It's located on the same property. They are very premium guest house, offering all the services of the Relais and Château hotel. And then for family stays in the countryside, they have 2 other places in Cancale, next to Saint-Malo and Mont Saint-Michel, where your clients could stay in a very peaceful environment. Next slide. Yeah, this is the focus on Château Richeux, which is the 4-star Relais and Château. It's a boutique hotel. It's a very traditional style hotel in terms of furnitures. They have a very nice 2-star Michelin restaurant owned by the chef Rollinger, the son, because it's the father who started the business. And they also have
I think did I see he's 31 years old?
He's very young, yes. It's a dynamic team. And the place also offers a very nice well-being area, the Celtic Spa, that is also accessible to the residents of the very premium guest house. These are a few pictures of the hotel, the Relais and Château. You can see the room, the furnitures in the room are really traditional. So it's interesting because everywhere you go in Brittany, there is always a traditional option and a more contemporary one. Like it's the case with Castelbrac and Château Richeux. And the view is amazing. It's the view over Mont Saint-Michel Bay. And that's a short video about Château Richeux. So it's just over the oyster parks of Cancale in Mont Saint-Michel Bay.
You can land your helicopter there if you want.
In the 2-star Michelin restaurant, they only use seafood and fish, local products. They don't serve meat anymore, only local and seasonal seafood. They have their own vegetable garden. It's pretty trendy lately.
Do they deliver to New York?
Not yet. It's a family-owned business, so it's very welcoming and traditional.
The hotel feels more like a home than a hotel.
Exactly. There are some rooms that offer very nice mosaics from Odorico, the Italian artist who stayed in Brittany.
Do you know what the seasonality of the property is, Marie?
It's the whole year. It's open the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
For a nice hotel in Rennes, we have done the virtual tour of Le Balthazar. It's a 5-star hotel. You can also check the video on the website of GT Experiences. I was just answering the question in the chat. So during the second day of that itinerary, the clients are going to discover Saint-Malo and Cancale, that are two very famous places along the Emerald Coast. And first, they are going to take a private visit of Saint-Malo, which is the Corsair city. It's very famous for being a fortified city, but also for the impressive high tides, which is a very unique phenomenon in the Mont-Saint-Michel Bay. And you are going to see a short video introducing one of the most impressive one over the last few years. So yes, there are about 10 high tides per year, and we know the dates in advance. So it's possible to set up the dates to be able to watch this phenomenon during the stay. So during the guided visit of Saint-Malo, they are also going to discover the maritime heritage of the harbor, because it was one of the richest harbor during the 17th and 18th century. In France, there were two types of trade that were made, commercial trade, maritime trade, and one of the famous company was the Company of India, boats were sent to India and Asia to bring back some rare products, silk, spices, porcelains. But Saint-Malo was also famous for being a fishing harbor, and all the Brittany people have ancestors who took part in the fishing campaigns that were led in Terre-Neuvas, an island that is near Canada, and they were fishing codfish in a very complicated and hard conditions. But between the fishing and the commercial trade, it's true that Saint-Malo, the sailors were very strong. And this is why the King of France, when Brittany became unified to the kingdom, the King of France asked the Brittany sailors and Saint-Malo sailors to protect the coastline from the invasions from our neighbors, the British people. And in exchange of that protection, the king gave them the right to steal from the enemies. So this is why we don't call them pirates, but corsaires. And the statue represents the most famous one in Saint-Malo, Surcouf, and this is a place where the guide will take your clients for sure. It has a beautiful view over the sea as well. But visiting Saint-Malo is also, in terms of maritime heritage, there is a very exclusive experience that you could offer to your VIP clients. It's an experience in that villa. It's a private villa owned by a couple, and the lady is American, so it's pretty interesting. This villa is typical from Saint-Malo area. This type of villa used to belong to the richest ship owners of Saint-Malo. That one is the best preserved one. There are lots of interesting furnitures inside and artworks that was brought back from India and China, including this tapestry that is part of the French protected heritage. So they would take your clients through a private guided visit of their villa, relating the history of Saint-Malo. And after the visit, we could organize a private lunch or dinner in the dining room. A chef would come, a Michelin star level, and the clients would have the chance to try the local food using the crystal glasses, the porcelain, and the golden tablewares. It's a very unique experience, deeply related to the area. Another part of the visit, the private visit in Saint-Malo, would be, of course, the annihilation of the city in August 1945, when the Americans came to free the city. The reconstruction started right after, in September 45, and was ended up in 1971. It's a huge work that has been made. And the last piece of that reconstructive work was the church of Saint-Malo that we can see on the picture. It's worth getting inside because it has beautiful stained glasses. So during the visit, it's nice to have a stop over there. And the villa is La Villebague. During the tour of Saint-Malo, of course, we are going to speak about gastronomy. And there is a nice store to discover. It's the store of the two Michelin star chef Rollinger that is located in the Relais and Château. It's very interesting because the father started the business, and his cuisine is deeply related to the history of Saint-Malo and to the road to India. He uses lots of spices that used to be brought back to Saint-Malo from Asia to mix these spices together to create a unique mix, but also in his cuisine. So there is a store in Saint-Malo where it's possible to discover the spice collection and to buy some, or to try the spice mix at the restaurant, of course, for a nice dinner. Mm. Other things in terms of gastronomy, in Saint-Malo, it's possible to discover the buckwheat, the home of the buckwheat that we use for the famous galette, but also the house of the butter, another famous Brittany icon. And in that store, they really use the traditional method to shape the butter. And Queen Amman, which is a local pastry. It's a bit fat, made of butter and sugar, but it's nice.
No complaints.
So now we are going to take you to the oyster parks of Cancale for a short visit that we recommend you have during the stay along the Emerald Coast.
Welcome to the famous oyster harbor of Cancale, located in the northern part of Brittany, just 15 minutes drive from Saint-Malo. The oyster parks are spread over 1,400 hectares in Mont Michel Bay. There are about 50 family-run companies working in the parks, and the total annual production is about 5,000 tons, 80% of which being flat oysters. Cancale oysters have become part of the UNESCO Cultural Heritage at the end of 2019. Cancale is a must while staying along the beautiful Emerald Coast. It is the perfect place to taste local gastronomy under the sun with a beautiful sea view in a gastronomic, or a Michelin-starred restaurant. And now we are approaching the famous oyster market. It's been totally renewed recently. As you can see, it's still under renovation. Out of COVID context, it's opened every day, and you can buy fresh oysters from the producers. They are opening it for you. You can also get a glass of white wine. And the tradition is to taste the oysters al fresco right in front of the oyster parks next to the oyster market. We are now approaching the oyster parks. This is where our guide Inga is going to give us a private guided visit. It's only available at low tide, as you can see, and during high tide, it's a totally different landscape.
Hello. Hello. So welcome in the oyster parks of Cancale. You can see the activity of the oysters farmer. So they are going with the boat very far to work with the baby oyster. The dig oyster, it's a Japanese oyster, and this one is the flat oyster. Before here, only flat oyster, wild flat oyster on the mud. The work of the oysters farmer was not with the tractor or metal boats. It was only with wooden boats. The name in French is the biskin. It's a very big boat, wooden boat. And in the bay of the Mont Michel, about 200 boats like that, only for catch the wild oyster on the mud with a big drag, like that. When the fish is finished, it's the job of the woman. And with, you can see, with this one, they have long dresses, big wooden shoes, and they have to select the oyster. Dead oyster, smallest oyster, and they have to wash the oyster because they are full of mud, and after it's possible to sell the oysters. And because of overfishing of these days, now it's not possible to have a wide flat oyster. It's finished. It's just breeding of the dig oyster here.
Today the techniques are different. The workers use tractors and special boats to work in the parks, but breeding oysters is still a daily hard work. Indeed, the workers have to go at sea every day, whether it is sunny, cold, windy, or if the sea is bad. On top of that, they have to deal with the tides and the muds, which are inherent to the bay. As you may know, there are 2 tides per day. The workers can only work in the oyster parks during the low tide, so they only have about 4 hours to work in the parks, and of course, they can't choose the timing. It's stressful, and the risk of having a tractor or a boat stuck in the mud is another stressful factor.
The oyster stay in the bay of the Mont Saint-Michel for 3 years, and after 3 years, it's possible to sell these oysters. Normally, all the babies are very, very far, because always on the deep sea. And in the sea, they are the plankton, they are oxygen. Here, it's only the oysters at the market size, only. Because here there is the low tide, so it's better for the musculation of the oyster.
The bags are necessary to protect the oysters from their predators all along their life in the parks.
The size and the weight of the bags, the number of oysters inside depend on the age of the oysters, okay? And because of the waves, when the sea goes up, sometimes big waves, and it's dangerous for the bag. So I have to put this one, elastic here, first here, and secondly here. It's a security for the bag because of the waves.
After 3 years, the oysters are ready to be eaten, but the work is not over. Oysters have to be harvested and classified based on their weight.
Number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can have 0, 000, 007. Okay, so it's not depend of the size, but of the weight. All the people believe it's the size more important. No, it's not that. It's the weight. This one is the favorite of the French people. It's the number 3. The weight is between 60 grams and 85 grams. Okay, it's the weight. This one is about 30 grams, and this one starts at 100 grams and more. It's possible, okay, for the caliber.
That's the end of the visit. I hope you liked it. Well, usually this is when the gourmet tasting starts. We set up a very nice table on the beach in front of Mont Saint-Michel Bay, and we allow our clients to taste different types of oysters with good wine. Well, because of COVID, we could not do it this time, but we would be pleased to organize it for your clients, or to organize a VIP lunch in a private villa with a chef who would come just for them.
It's just about the COVID. It's pretty hard for us to have the inspection visits right now because the hotels are closed as well as the restaurants and most of the places. We've been under a new lockdown for 3 weeks now, and it's on until the beginning of May. But from May, slowly, the bars, restaurants, hotels are going to reopen, as well as all the experiences. We'll be able to travel everywhere in France. The sanitary passport should be implemented in June as well at the European Union level. So the plan is to be able to welcome the American citizens by the end of June again. So we do everything that we can to make it possible. So other options, just can you come back to the previous slide? Yeah, just for your clients, if they don't want to visit the oyster parks, there are other things that they could do. One thing that we like to organize is a private cruise. There are different cruises, different themes to take. It's available to have one on this beautiful traditional sailing boat that was used for the oyster fishing. It's possible to disembark on a desertic islands, to watch the dolphin colony, which is the largest one in Europe, or to organize a gastronomic cruise. From 2 hours up to a full day, we can tailor-made a nice moment for your clients. Another experience to enjoy is to visit the Abbey of Mont Saint-Michel. You can move on. Yeah. It's just 45 minutes from Cancale and Saint-Malo. There are different ways to discover the Abbey, but we have access to a VIP experience. It's the private guided visit of the Abbey out of public hours. So it starts around 4 or 5 p.m. Out of July and August, it's not accessible, but the rest of the year it is. So it's a 2 hours private guided walk in the Abbey that you have just for yourself. It's really exceptional, and it gives access to secret places like the top of the Abbey. And after the visit, we can organize a private gastronomic cocktail on the outdoor terrace of the Abbey with a beautiful view over Normandy and Brittany. And after the cocktail, we can even organize a private dinner by a gastronomic or Michelin star chef in the Abbey in a cozy room. And that's available from 2 persons. It's really unique, and we are the only ones to have the right to organize this type of event in the Abbey. Very exclusive. Other things to enjoy near Saint-Malo, thalassothérapy, of course, the marine spa, cooking class with a local, a gastronomic chef or a Michelin star chef. We have beautiful golf courses as well with a magical sea view. A fishing session, we can organize it on a boat or walking along the seashore. A road trip with a Jaguar and a private driver is also available to discover the beautiful spots or to reach Mont Saint-Michel. So on the third day, your clients would move from the Saint-Malo area to the pink granite coast. And on the way, we invite them to discover a beautiful area with lots of magical caves. It's that area that they could discover in the morning during a tailor-made road trip. There is a beautiful castle, lots of caves. It's a protected area for its fauna and flora, so there are no construction, no building along the coastline. But there is a very easy-going pedestrian pathway, so they can stop wherever they want to take nice pictures or just to walk for a few minutes or visit the castle before reaching a small harbor, Erquy. It's very small and very charming, and it's also the first one in France for the scallop fishing. So it's the perfect place to try fresh scallops. There are a few restaurants and a nice view. So imagine yourself under the sun with a glass of white wine, and the peacefulness of the harbor. It's really nice. And in the afternoon, we would be pleased to organize a private guided e-bike ride to digest in a beautiful environment. It's a very easygoing ride, about 2 hours between the lands and the sea, with magical, breathtaking spots really to take nice pictures or just to relax on the beach before reaching the pink granite coast by the end of the day. It's a unique phenomenon. You are going to see the most beautiful spots during a virtual visit in a few seconds. There are 2 hotels that we recommend in that area. Le Manoir de Lanquerelec, we were supposed to have the virtual tour with them, but it's been closed because of COVID. It's a 4-star Roland Chateau. They also have a 1-star Michelin restaurant. The building was built at the beginning of the 19th century by a painter, and then it was bought in 1925 by the Daubé family, who is still running the business. So it's really a long-run family business. It's a boutique hotel with an amazing view. There is a very interesting thing to admire in the Michelin restaurants. It's the wooden ceiling. It's very unique, and it makes us think about the traditional sailing boats typical from Brittany. That's for the traditional option in terms of furnitures, I mean. The second option is L'Agapar. It's another boutique hotel on the beach. It's a 5-star hotel. We cannot show more pictures today because it's under complete renovation. It's going to open in the next few weeks. It's very nice as well, with a very nice decoration, more like Castelbrac style. And now let's take a walk along the pink granite coast.
Bonjour and welcome to the pink granite coast. You can see it right behind me. That's just the beginning of the pink granite coast. I'm going to take you to the most beautiful spot in just a few minutes for a short walk. But before heading there, I just wanted to let you know that the pink granite coast is a very unique phenomenon, only visible in 3 places in the world: here in Brittany, in Corsica, and in China.
We are now entering Saint-Guirec Beach, which is located in Plumanec village. It used to be a sailors' and fishermen village. I'm going to come back to that hotel right in front of us at the end of the visit. The name of the beach was given after Saint-Guirec, or Guirec Saint. He was a British Christian priest who crossed the Channel to reach Brittany and deliver his message. He made a few miracles in Brittany and was a very respected man there. That's a statue of Guirec Saint, and today the popular tradition is for the single ladies to put a needle in its nose. If the needle is still there after high tide, it means that they are going to get married by the end of the year.
Okay, so I'm going to take you just on the other side of the beach now, over there, where it's green. We are going to start the walk. It's very short, and you will see that within just a few minutes the ambience totally changes. We are going to start the walk under the pines. I let you enjoy the sound of the birds.
About 300 million years ago, there were mountains here with a volcanic activity. 5 kilometers down was magma. This magma turned into granite after the crystallization process. Over the years, the erosion made the mountains disappear and gave visibility to the granite that was below. This is how this beautiful coast of about 10 kilometers length appeared, and its pink color is related to the iron oxide in the quartz.
It's a very easygoing walk, accessible to anyone. It's possible just to have this short distance walk, so it's about 30 minutes. Otherwise, for those who want to walk further, they are huge. Of course, we can make it 1 hour, 2 hours, or even a full day. So now, just like 2 hours ago, it was high tide, So during high tide, the sea can come and reach this pathway. So of course there's another one on the top. And now it's getting low. There's no wind at all, so we don't have big waves. But when the coefficient of the tide is important or where it's very windy, there are huge waves coming over. It's another spectacle. It's also very beautiful. It's always beautiful anyway. So here we are, just next to the famous lighthouse. It's a beautiful spot. This block right behind me doesn't look like on the video, but it's huge. So these blocks today, they have a very nice look. They look very poetic because they have been carved by the sea and the wind for millions of years. So this is the lighthouse of Mineruse, which means the pink granite in Brittany language. It's been lighted up for the first time in 1860, destroyed in August 1944, and lighted up again in October 1948.
So that granite block right in front of us is called the scallop shell. Indeed, there are many rocks all along the coastline that have a funny shape, and some of them have their own legends. This is something that your clients could discover if they decide to take this walk with a private guide. That's another famous block called the man face. So that's the end of the walk. One way to end of the walk is to come back to the starting point at Saint-Guirec Beach. And what we usually do is to take our clients to the hotel that we can see right in front of us. It's a 4-star hotel. It's a very nice place, and their terrace offers a beautiful view over the beach. So it's the perfect way and the perfect place to end up the day and having a glass of wine or a nice cocktail and just relax in a peaceful atmosphere.
Yes, it's the lighthouse is the most famous spot along the pink granite coast. Usually what we do during the second day along the coastline is to take our clients through Brea, Archipelago and Island. So they take the boat in the morning, a traditional sailing boat. It's the one that you can see on the picture. It's the longest one in Brittany. Of course, there are smaller ones, but this one is very impressive. In the morning, they discover the archipelago made of pink granite. So the colors are really amazing. They have a gastronomic lunch on board with the team before disembarking on Brea Island in the afternoon. It's a very small island, only a few kilometers length. There are about 500 people living there the whole year. It's the flowery island because it benefits from a very specific microclimate, which makes it possible to grow any types of flowers from all over the world from spring. So it's very colorful. There are lots of small houses, colorful as well. So they can discover the place with just walking around with bikes or just enjoying the landscapes and going to the beach before going back to the continent. There are other experiences to take along the pink granite coast. There are beautiful castles and gardens. There are about 3,000 castles in Brittany only because of its strategic location. It had to be defended from the external invasions. So we have lots of defensive castles. And there is a beautiful one made of pink granite that is possible to visit. There are a few workshops that we have access to as well for private visits. A cabinet making workshop, glass blowing factory. They are working for International Palace. So their know-how is really famous and of a high quality. That area is also famous for the seaweed, breeding of the seaweed. It's the most important producer in Europe. So there are different ways to discover the seaweed during a walk or a cooking class. It's an interesting theme. For the gourmets, there are also a few distilleries of cider and whiskey where we can organize a private guided visit and a premium tasting. And next to the pink granite coast is the Coast of Legends. It's another area really beautiful to discover. And there are interesting things and sites to discover that are related to religion. and the religious history of Brittany. But we are going to speak about that during the last webinar. That's it for the first part of the itinerary. I hope you liked it, and stay tuned for the last part that is going to take place in the southern part of Brittany.
A couple of questions. So one was, what was the name of the island, the small island?
Brea. I'm going to write it.
Great.
Brea Island.
And great. Thank you. Thank you, Marie. So that is the end of our second webinar on Brittany. And I hope that it's a region that you all will visit and that you'll send your clients to. I think that it's easy to get to from Paris. So everyone wants to go to the iconic places, and I think that Brittany is going to be a really terrific experience for everybody. And it can be done as a fly drive. You can do it independently. So thanks for attending, and we'll get out our notifications for the next webinars. Johnny, I don't know if there's anything that
Yes,
you
no, I want
want to add to
to thank again Marie, and we'll see her next time with the last
Yes.
webinar. But also I want to remind you that next week we're going to have two very, very interesting other webinars. The first one will be Tuesday with a site inspection of boats, of yachting, the variety cruise in Athens. So we will be site inspect the best ships that they have. Those are a very special way to sail in the Mediterranean and also in other parts of the world where there are cruises with those yachts. So I will suggest you, if you haven't done yet, to register for those webinar. We already sent out the invitation, and the second one will be on Thursday. We will be discover Naples, the city of Naples, with a site inspection of a very nice hotel, the Grand Hotel Vesuvio. And also we will be visiting another very, very special location that I don't want to disclose. You must be there to see what we are talking about, and you will be amazed of what we will be showing you on Thursday. So we thank you again, everybody. And as usual, we're going to give the two prize of today. Today, we will give two vouchers for $300 with obviously to book with us any trip, entry a trip with to Brittany. Certainly, I'm sure that you are curious to send your client over there. So the first prize is given to $300 to Liz Flores, to MJ Turco. Liz, if you are here, just open your microphone. And the second one,
Hey, Liz, congratulations.
Pro Travel Line, Howard Lewis. So if Howard is still here, we thank you both to attending, and I hope you all enjoy this event, this webinar, and we see you next one. And we are preparing also all the webinar for the month of May. We have another 8 webinar to introduce to you with many other destinations and many other features. So stay tuned. You will receive all the information via email. Thank you very much again to everybody. And
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we'll be sending out a questionnaire that we hope that you guys will fill out and just let us get some feedback on what we're doing. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you. Let's reconnect, both of us.
Okay.